Story 1. Reaction time of their electronic devices like laptops and smartphones is always 5 seconds to 5 minutes late, depending on how stressed they are. The more stress, the slower the reaction time. Story 2. They felt intense empathy for the other person anytime they tried to do something that was unfair or intentionally hurtful to them. Story 3. Saved passwords on all devices are always incorrect. So every time they sign into anything, they have to reset the password. Story 4. You know when you think you plugged your phone in, but the next day you find it at 10% because apparently it wasn't plugged in properly? Yes, that. Story 5. They cannot understand what anybody tells them the first time. It always has to be repeated. It does not matter if it is verbally told to them, if it is a television show, or if it is in an email. It always has to be repeated. Story 6. Every time they get on YouTube, they are greeted with a 6-second advertisement that is skippable after 5 seconds. Additionally, the ad blocker does not work. Story 7. Fingerprint or facial unlock does not work for the first 3 to 4 attempts every time. A different key on the keyboard becomes finicky every day. Sometimes it presses multiple times, and other times it does not press at all. Every seatbelt they try to use has that annoying locking mechanism when they pull. Every shopping cart has a wobbly wheel. Their windows are never streak-free after cleaning. Before we dive into the next story, a big thank you for lending me your ears. And hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's just a click away. Story 8. Have their charger be just 1 inch too short for them to use their phone in bed while it is charging, forcing them to either wait or sit on the floor. Story 9. There is an immortal fly that buzzes around their head constantly, flying around their eyes whenever they try to concentrate. Story 10. They are always 1 minute late. 1 minute late catching the bus or train. 1 minute late to the birth of their child. 1 minute late dropping children off. 1 minute late to a funeral. 1 minute late to their wedding. 1 minute late to appointments and meetings. 1 minute late picking up that call. Story 11. To be perpetually stuck in that moment when you are about to sneeze, but to never get the satisfaction of actually sneezing. Story 12. The traffic lights turn red just as they arrive. They often get stuck behind a very slow driver or a driver who adheres strictly to the speed limit. Story 13. They always have a cut on their tongue or one of those infected taste buds. Every time they wipe, they get waste on their hand. Every time they urinate, they get some on their pants. Story 14. Every time they try to plug in a USB, it is upside down. If it is correct the first time, it does not fit, so the second time it does not fit either, making for a minimum of 3 tries to get it right every single time. Before we dive into the next story, a big thank you for lending me your ears. And hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's just a click away. Story 15. The bottom of their feet is always extremely itchy 5 minutes after they put any footwear on, such as boots, shoes, or sandals. Story 16. Trip and almost fall but never actually fall. And there is always a witness who asks, "Are you okay?" Story 17. Bug bite on the backside of the knee where it bends. Chris Constable, you were never nice to me. May you be itchy forever. Story 18. It would be a different inconvenience every time. One day you just missed the bus, the next you are $1 short for everything you need to buy, and the next you have a water leak. Story 19. Do people on Reddit not know what a minor inconvenience is? I would be very frustrated with almost any of these. Or maybe I have issues. Mine would be pulling the wrong cable for the blinds every single time, thinking it was the right one. Story 20. Tried to think of a person I know that I dislike. I don't think I dislike anyone I know, but I would probably want them to accidentally bite the inside of their mouth once a day. Story 21. Stubbing their pinky toe every 17 minutes and 32 seconds, and it alternates randomly which one gets stubbed. Before we dive into the next story, a big thank you for lending me your ears. And hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's just a click away. Story 22. Everyone always either misspells or mispronounces their name, and each time it is off by just 1 letter. Story 23. Every time they try to pay for something with a card, it declines, and every time they pay in cash, they drop the coins. Story 24. Every time they are about to leave home, they suddenly cannot find something important. The phone, wallet, or keys does not matter, but it is something they absolutely cannot leave without. It always takes them just long enough to find it that the anxiety of being late or being lost somewhere outside of the home kicks in. When they do find it, it is in a place they already thoroughly checked, so now they question their sanity and reality. Story 25. Breaking a nail every day would be a super annoying form of water torture, but I am having a harder and harder time summoning actual dislike for people as I get older. It feels kind of like punching myself and hoping the other person feels it. Story 26. They bump into every single doorway, and hopefully that doorway leads to a very long set of stairs. Story 27. I wish for them to win the lottery once a year for the rest of their lives, only for a new accident to destroy each ticket before redeeming. A dog eats it 1 year, then it gets thrown in with the laundry. It falls into a campfire. It flies out the open car window, and so forth. In its essence, it is just a small inconvenience to lose out on the $2 lottery ticket purchase. But the amount of mental turmoil inflicted is at an extreme level. Story 28. Losing his phone the second he puts it down or it being at 2% all of the time caused me no end of grief. Before we dive into the next story, a big thank you for lending me your ears. And hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's just a click away. Story 29. They find a cockroach or two crawling out of whatever they go to eat or drink. If possible, I want them to suffer that fate. Story 30. They smell a strange odor and they cannot find where it is coming from. Every pen they pick up writes well for about 2 letters, then stops working. They feel as if they have a hair on their tongue, but they cannot get it. They get urine on the front of their pants when they urinate, and their jacket will not conceal it. They forget to hit print before they walk over to the printer, so they have to go back to their desk, unlock their workstation, click print, and walk all the way back to the printer again. I could continue. Story 31. Empathy for others. The person I hate the most is the person I hate the most because they do not have empathy for other people. To them, this would be a severe inconvenience, but it would make them a better person. I do not want to be vindictive and hurt them. I want them to be a normal human. Story 32. Can't hold a fart. No way to hide. Business meeting? Let it out. On a date? Guess what? Let it out. At a funeral? Too bad, let it out. Story 33. Being allergic to pollen all year round, and no amount of medication could suffice. I never wished allergies on my worst enemy until now. Story 34. As the old Yiddish curse goes, may you lose all of your teeth but one so that you can have a toothache. Story 35. The fit of every pair of pants feels odd, making the wearer feel exposed whenever they bend over, sit down, or move in any way. When walking, they also have a shimmy because of the unusual cut of the pants. Before we dive into the next story, a big thank you for lending me your ears. And hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's just a click away. Story 36. She has accidents randomly once a day. She can never tell when it is going to happen, so she has to wear a diaper. Story 37. To be name-called. To be made fun of. Just once a day. Every day. For the rest of their life. Preferably by someone they think cares for them. Story 38. The chip in their debit card doesn't work. So every time they go to pay, they have to tap or insert and wait 3 times before they can swipe the strip. They still receive what they are buying, but they have the constant feeling of holding up the line. Story 39. Almost every time they put on fresh socks, they immediately step in an unidentified cold puddle. Is it water? Is it urine? Cold tea? Kat vomit? Not every single time, but just often enough that they stand up and look around at the floor every time they put on socks. Story 40. Stepping on Legos every time they get out of bed or take their shoes off. No matter how careful they might be, the moment they put their full weight down, a Lego would just appear. Story 41. Mortal enemy gets behind someone at the checkout line who is paying with a dozen gift cards with tiny balances, a huge stack of coupons that won't scan, and the remainder by check, which that person doesn't even begin writing out until the final balance is determined. Someone is also behind mortal enemy in line, meaning they are trapped and just have to wait it out. Story 42. 1. Everything tastes exactly the same. No one remembers their name. They stumble once a day. One eyebrow grows thicker than the other. They can shake all day. The last drop will always end up in their pants. They orgasm at the word hello. They miss numbers in lists. They have to look to check. Before we dive into the next story, a big thank you for lending me your ears. And hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's just a click away. Story 43. 1 absolutely rancid fart. Just once a day, randomly, they unleash the swamps of Dagoba. I am talking about an eye-watering rancid stench you can almost taste in the air. People should be gagging on it. The dog should get up and leave the room. No holding it in. Comes when it comes. Story 44. Every time they put on dry socks, they instantly step in a wet spot and have to deal with a soggy sock all day. Story 45. Always having the feeling of something stuck between their teeth after eating that lasts for an hour or two. Story 46. They can never find what they need. I need a spoon for my cereal, but they can only find forks. My phone is going to die, yet all they have on hand is the wrong charger. My car is going to run out of petrol, but the garage only has diesel. Damn, I'm out of milk, and the shop only has double cream in stock. Story 47. A single pebble in the shoe that no matter how many times they stop to shake it out, is always there. Story 48. For them to always have some type of wardrobe malfunction. A loose button that pops off unexpectedly, a zipper that constantly gets stuck or will not stay up, a bra strap that refuses to stay in place, shoes that squeak with every step, a sock that always slips down into the shoe, a hem that keeps unraveling, static cling that makes clothes stick awkwardly to their body, a tag that constantly pokes out or scratches their skin, tights that snag or rip, a strapless dress that keeps slipping down, shirt buttons that gap open, lint or pet hair that clings no matter how much they brush it off, and shoes that give blisters every time they are worn. Story 49. Every day, just once, she would accidentally slip and tell the truth when she would normally lie. Only a slight inconvenience for a decent person. Unfortunately, the person I have in mind is not a decent person, and this would bring down the house of cards she has spent 60 years building. Before we dive into the next story, a big thank you for lending me your ears. And hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's just a click away. Story 50. Every person he meets fails to be captivated by his put-on charisma and fake charming personality. Every future boss he has is a non-white woman. Story 51. Gas pumps ask more arbitrary questions the colder it gets. Every 10 degrees Fahrenheit colder, it asks 2 more questions before it lets you actually fill up. Story 52. Being put in situations where they have to display kindness, manners, and consideration for another person, ideally someone who does not have something they can benefit from. Story 53. Once a day for the rest of her life, I would like for a randomly different person to call her a toxic, rat-faced person. Story 54. I hope that the red tie he wears in public always smells of Limburger cheese that was stored in a fat, unshowered, and sweaty 2-week unwiped rear crevice, wafting up to his nose and surrounding company. Story 55. Getting really far in anything and then having it abruptly cut short. A road trip 30 miles out and I get flat tires. I work on a document, hit save, and it deletes. My favorite song comes on and it gets cut off. I read news headlines and can't finish the article. An important conversation ends because my phone dies. I am gaming and I almost beat the entire game only to have it die and not be able to recover. Story 56. I don't really hate anyone, but if I did, it would be that they spill a sip of coffee on themselves every day. The twist is that it has to be a different cause each time. I am talking about some real Rube Goldberg machinations that the universe sets up for them each day. Think Final Destination, only instead of death, it's a small coffee stain. Before we dive into the next story, a big thank you for lending me your ears. And hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's just a click away. Story 57. Oh, I actually do this. My mother hates that I am transgender. So instead of blocking her on social media, I post myself living my best life and respond to absolutely nothing she says. Story 58. I would have them be sexually assaulted. They seem to think it was only a slight inconvenience when they did it to me. Story 59. Runny nose or a large cold sore. Something to signal to the world to avoid them. They are unhealthy and toxic. Story 60. I want her, the evil stepmother who stole from, sabotaged, and abused me, to always feel cold in her last days before going to hell. Story 61. They always type the passwords wrong 3 times and get kicked out of their accounts on a daily basis. Story 62. They have at least 1 orgasm per week at random, and they will be thinking of me in their minds. This person hates me as well. Story 63. I would like them to completely lose their voice for 86,300 seconds every single day for their whole life. Before we dive into the next story, a big thank you for lending me your ears. And hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's just a click away. Story 64. Every time they travel out of state, their credit and debit cards get locked due to a fraud alert, and they have to call their bank to unlock them, even if they put a travel notice on file. Story 65. 2-inch wide circle of pee dribble on their pants every time they urinate. And yes, I am thinking of a certain world leader. Story 66. Having to wait in every line they encounter, even when it is just them in the store. The employer will have to take a very important call or check something in the back office. There will never be a swift errand in their lives. Story 67. Total body outbreak in hives for at least an hour with no remedy or relief. At least 85% of the body covered. Story 68. Any inconvenience would give her a reason to cry and beg for attention. So I think I would inconvenience her by giving her the same ability as the silence in Doctor Who. The moment someone looks away from her, they completely forget about her entire existence. It would be the perfect gift for a narcissistic compulsive liar. Story 69. The person I am thinking of has the biggest ego and such an inflated sense of self-importance. I have truly never met anyone like that. Have you ever had an awkward encounter where someone you have met before does not remember meeting you? I would say that is the case for everyone he meets. Story 70. Lucky I don't have people I dislike, but if I did, I would wish they suffer muscle cramps on a weekly basis for the rest of their lives. Before we dive into the next story, a big thank you for lending me your ears. And hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's just a click away. Story 71. Holy hell, this entire comment thread is found Satan, and I am 100% here for all of it. You all are some evil geniuses. Also, right before they go to sleep every night, that darn smoke alarm in their room chirps. And no, they cannot just remove the alarm. It is hardwired in. Story 72. I hope every jar or bottle they have to open is nearly impossible to open. I hope that every time they drink water, it goes down the wrong pipe. I hope that every time they drive, the sun beams directly into their eyes, either from the sun or reflecting off something else. Right in the eyes. I hope that every time they order something from any restaurant, they are out of at least 2 items in their order, or they make a mistake with the order. Story 73. An itchy area that itches when clothed, but when they remove the clothing to fix the problem, it disappears. When they put the clothing back in place, the itch returns. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.